Tuesday, I chatted with Angela Ruth Strong about her next release, Fiance Finale, which I didn't think was going to be nearly as good as, what was the last one? Hero Debut, which I loved Husband Auditions, and that was a lot of fun, but Hero Debut just knocked it out of the park for me. It was so much fun. It was like all the best of rom-com and all the best of Angela Ruth Strong, because her rom-coms have depth to them. They really explore difficult, tough topics. And like she and I did, I think it was a two-parter episode where we chatted about her book Husband Auditions and my book Blessing Bentley, and just the exploration of marriage and all the stuff that is in both of those books. But there's a lot of depth in her rom-coms, and so Hero Debut is right now my favorite. But listening to her talk about this Fiance Finale, I'm like, I wonder if there's any chance she's gonna make me like it better, and that would be really weird for me. I'm having a hard time imagining liking it better, but what do I know? I could. So, but when we were talking, she mentioned, I don't know why she mentioned it. I don't know where it came from, but her book, The Princess and the PI, came up. And I was just like, you know what? I want to read this. I don't know anything about it, but Angela wrote it. It's going to be funny, and I'm in the mood for funny. So I popped it into my, I think I have it in, no, I bought it. I don't think it's in Kindle Unlimited, because you can also get this one free from her website if you sign up for her newsletter. So I'm just throwing that out there. But I bought it. It was 99 cents. I was like, whatever. So I bought it and I read it last night, and then a couple of the final chapters tonight. It was A, really funny, B, really fun, and C, it had all those fun twists, and it was like this wild ride. Basically what you have is, and this is the first book I'm talking about, right? So basically what you have is this gal who has met a prince, and she's always kind of put men off because she's seen the grief that her father has dealt with after the death of her mother when she was little, and she's just like, I don't know, I want something more. I want something more. So she finds this prince, and she's going to marry this prince. He's going to meet the dad, and then his private investigator discovers that her dad has a shady past. All the air quotes. He has a shady past, and she's like, no, you got the wrong guy. So she goes and talks to dad and discovers all the things about the dad, and dad swears he's innocent. So she and the PI go off to Miami, and they're going to prove his innocence, and then all the shenanigans. I mean, if it could happen, it did. I mean, there are, tabloids, of course, and you've got people chasing them. You've got a car chase, and you've got, I mean, it just, everything happens. But in the middle of all this wild, fun stuff, you also have both her and this private investigator kind of having it out with God. And there's this wonderful, wonderful Latina mama. I don't know if she's Hispanic of some sort, but I don't know. I don't know that she's Mexican. It doesn't say, or if it does, I missed it. But she is just like this amazing spiritual, like, comfort. Instead of saying amen, she ends it, in the name of Jesus, let's do this. And I was just like, oh, I love this so much. But she also is, she's having this discussion with this investigator. What is his name? Drake is the bad guy. It's not Drake. I don't know. All of a sudden, I have blanked on his name. But she's talking to him, and she tells her, she's like, you just need to tell him that you're mad. You need to tell God that you're mad. Be honest with him. He knows it anyway. But you're trying to get your stuff dealt with through all the wrong means. You need to deal with it with God. That's where you need to deal with your problems. And it was just, there was a lot of depth in a rom-com, which Angela Ruth Strong does. All of her books have these, well, all that I've read, have these really strong faith punches amid all the goofy, amid all the fun. They just have this richness that it's what I want from Christian fiction. but she just does it really fun in a rom-com. So I read that, so glad I did. I gave it 5 stars. And actually, technically there were a couple of little errors. I didn't care. I did not care. It was that fun. Let's start with this one, because this is technically left over from last month. I only read a couple chapters last month, and then I finished it this month. But The Late Mrs. Willoughby is the second by Claudia Gray. The first one was The Murder of Mr. Wickham, and I actually dropped, so I gave that one 4 stars because it was a delightful read for the most part. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the mystery. I had fun with it, but the more I ruminated on it after the fact, the more irritated and annoyed I got by it. So actually when I rated this one, I dropped a star on that one because I kind of needed in that one, in The Murder of Mr. Wickham, and it's important for what I'm going to say here, but in that one, I believe the author has issues with Christianity of some sort. I don't know if it's with the Church of England itself, or if it's with Christianity at that time, or if it's in general. I don't know, but she really destroyed the characters and and just kind of attacked the faith of the Bertrams, Fanny and Edmund Bertram, in that one. And I was really, the more I thought about it, the more bothered I was by it, because it deviated from their characters, which as soon as you do that, you've kind of lost the point of the story, right? And so because, and that's important, because this one I had given that one 4 stars. I dropped it to 3 because the more I thought about it, the more I was like, the minute you start removing somebody's strengths, then yeah, no. So this one, I gave it 4 stars. It's almost 5. And I can't tell you why I'm not giving it 5. This one the reverse could happen. I could bump it. So in that one, Mr. Wickham is killed, and, there's this whole thing about trying to find out why he was killed. And this one, Mrs. Willoughby, is his name John? I think his name is John. John Willoughby's wife dies, the one who he got all the money from, in Sense and Sensibility. She dies. She is poisoned, and there are many people who could have done it. I mean, let's face it, like Mr. Wickham, nobody likes Willoughby. Lots of people have it in for him, and what are you going to do? But there, again, Jonathan Darcy and Juliet Tilney, from Pride and Prejudice and Northanger Abbey, they're at it again. They're trying to find what's going on, and I did name the murderer right away ish. It was pretty early, but I did doubt, there were other people that it could have been, and I felt like I was being, because I couldn't put the pieces together. I just felt like it had to be that person. And so when things started coming in line, I was like, okay, maybe I'm right. And then something happened that should have made me doubt myself, but it actually confirmed to me. I was like, wait a minute. This is who it is. And then I started to see why and how and all the things. And I was like, oh man, she gave it away the whole time, and I missed the giveaways until I knew for sure it was that person. And then I was like, oh yeah, because of this and because of this. And it was so cool. But in this one, there was a moment that I thought we were going to have another Bertram issue with Faith and whatever, because she started to do the same thing with Edward Ferrars. Edward Ferrars had, there's that breach with his mother, and there's an opportunity to basically mend the breach, but to do it, he's going to have to basically apologize for, daring to go against his mother's wishes. And it's not that he refuses to do it. I didn't have problems with it, because if it's kind of hard to apologize for something that you don't feel you did that was wrong, right? And yet there are ways to, but it was obvious it was going to violate his conscience, but it was the way he reacted to it. It was very prideful on his part, and equally, Eleanor wants him to do this because it will be advantageous to her child. Do we not know who Eleanor is? I mean, come on. Wait a minute here. I was so frustrated. I was like, oh, but several things happen. Number one, we get to see Lucy, who is now Lucy Ferrers, in this one, and all the little subtle digs that she brought into Sense and Sensibility, where you could read them either way. It was kind of like her bless your heart, all of those are now very overt. In this one, she doesn't pretend anymore, even though she's still correct societally. She's very polite, but it's very, the gloves are off, and that was fun. But what I actually liked that she did, I see it appeared that she was attacking the clergy again, and I was getting annoyed, but it doesn't happen. She actually showed character growth in both Edward Ferrers and in Eleanor, showing their pride, their fears, all those things, and showing them wrestling with them. And it was like, okay, I can get behind this. So 4 stars, maybe even 4.5, and it could end up getting bumped. Loved it. And okay, I gotta admit, when like a third of the way through this thing, I wasn't going to read the next one. I was like, okay, it's not that I'm disliking it, but I'm thinking maybe this shouldn't be the series for me, because I was really having problems. And it feels like there were a few words, but not very many. There weren't very many, or I would remember. But I could be mixing it up with another book. So I'm just putting that out there. But there is a third book, and it deals with Lady Catherine de Bourgh. And this one ended on a great note. I definitely think it's better than the first book. So I'm going to read the third and pray that I love it. But I am a little concerned. I mean, Mr. Collins is not my favorite person, but if she goes after the church again, I'm going to lose it. Because, and it's not because, if only one of the books had done it, and like this one, the way it was done, have no problems with it. But after what she did in the first one, and there's definitely this one, that it looks like there's still kind of a slight dig. But then we know we don't like Mr. Collins. We're not supposed to. But then after all that, I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, there's that. Then I remember I did try a chapter on these. I did several books. This was one of them. This is The Relationship by Elena Johnson. And okay, this book is really funny. And this book is clean in that there is no language. There is no on the page or off the page actual sex. And I don't know how to put this. It definitely fits under clean. However, before I get into the story and the strengths and whatever, there are an awful lot of people who will not like this book. And this book is not for you if you don't like alcohol consumption in books. There's definitely a significant amount of alcohol consumption in this book. You're not going to like it if there are books where people share a bed even though they are not married and have no intention of being at that moment anyway. And with the caveat, nothing, not even kissing happens. But it is there, and it was uncomfortable. And you won't like it if there's innuendo, because I suspect there's more than I caught. I caught a big one. And it's kind of funny that I say that, because that's part of the innuendo, and I'm just going to leave it there. I was like, whoa, was that deliberate? I don't know. I could totally see it being accidental. I'm just saying. But because I've done things like that myself that I totally didn't realize I had said until someone's like, that sounds, and I was like, oops, let's just change that, But based upon the fact that this book has a lot of sensuality in it, they are definitely very happy with each other's physiques and aren't afraid to say so. So, yes, I read this book with a red face. No, I wouldn't feel like my kid got an education if she read this book too young, but it was uncomfortable for me because I'm a prude. That said, it was a good story. It was well written. And it actually, there's actual real issues addressed and everything in it. So what we have is basically 5 years ago, Sloane, the primary gal, she got left at the altar, had to tell everyone, including the groom's family, can I just say, that he wasn't coming. So she goes off on the honeymoon alone and ends up sharing it with this guy that she meets at the airport. And they don't really know each other. They're not, they're kind of whatever, but they become really good friends and they go on a vacation together every year after that. Last couple of years, he's been thinking very differently about her. He's wanted to pursue a relationship and didn't know how because she's still really skittish. And so this is all about how they have their fun together, how they have their good and bad moments, and how they work through this change in the relationship. Or do they? Obviously, it's a romance. They eventually do. But yeah, it was good. And for people who are, my guess is based upon what I have heard about like Emily Henry, this is her light. This is way less than anything I've seen in that book by Jenny Colgan that I read, The Bookshop on the Corner or whatever. Woo, there's a couple of chapters in there that could definitely be removed. It's, if you read Heidi Lucy and Juniper Bean, I would put some of the scenes kind of on par, but it's more focused in here on it because this is a rom-com, whereas that's a rom-com mystery. So you have stuff breaking it up. So it's a little more intense here. But the writing is good. It did not give me anything it didn't promise to. It is clean. I'm just a prude. And so, yeah, not sorry I read it. Won't be reading the rest in the series. Just saying. The series is not. They're not connected books. They're just rom-coms. Okay, but I won't be reading the others. I still enjoyed what I saw on the other books that I have by her. I bought 5 books of hers, and so I obviously have 4 to go, and I'm going to read them. It didn't put me off her books. I think I'm going to really enjoy it, but for what it's worth, there you have it. Then I read for last month's Buzzword Readathon. It was a unit of measure, and I was supposed to read this, and I remember last month was a mess. So this is A Mile in My Flip-Flops by Melody Carlson, and yeah, this one's really fun. I feel like this one had more depth than a lot of Melody Carlson's books can be light. Actually, I'm going to be talking to her about it. She has a Christmas book about a Christmas tree farm this year. So I'm definitely going to be probably adding that to a prize box of some sort, which I still need to do. I've got the stuff for this prize box started, but I really want something. I want more for it, and I don't know. And I think I want to put a candle in there, and I should not mail that until middle of September because desert and candles. But yeah, so Mile in My Flip Shops. I can speak. Hey, that one's for you, Krista. Yeah, if you haven't seen Krista Del Sorbo's shorts or Instagram reels, oh my goodness, the most recent one was hilarious. She sounded drunk, and it's all my fault. But anyway, so A Mile in My Flip-Flops, Melody Carlson. This takes place in San Diego, California, and she is a kindergarten teacher, and she can't afford a house. She needs out of her apartment that is packed to the gills with all the stuff that she bought when she was engaged and then didn't get married. So now her apartment is overloaded. She has an oversized dog that should not be in a tiny apartment. She needs a house, but she can't afford one in San Diego on her salary. So she gets the genius idea to buy a rundown house, flip it, and sell it for a profit so that she can take the profit and put it down on a house she can't afford. This is her idea. Her dad is in construction. She watches all the shows. This should not be a problem. Until it is. Enter the guy that dad has been trying to set her up with and she is not interested in. and his little girl. And it's super adorable. It's super sweet. I think I gave it 5 stars. I can't imagine why I wouldn't have. I just realized. I think this went to a church library because it says donated by names and the date. So, but anyway, yeah, it just a whole lot of fun. Just a whole lot of fun. And if you need a light read that has a little bit of depth to it, there is some spiritual growth in here. It's not super dense, but there's some depth to it, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, Mile and My Flip Flops, Melody Carlson, loved it. Then I read The Lark by E. Nesbitt. Now E. Nesbitt, Railway Children, The Five Children in It, and like The Enchanted Castle, I think it is. I knew her about children's stuff. Then someone showed, I don't think it was this copy, because I remember being surprised by this cover. I don't like this cover, but whatever. Someone showed The Lark on something, and I read about it, and there's a line in here that I really loved. It says, so she's, the one gal is really upset about something that she's done, and she really kind of wants to wallow in it. And the other gal says, I do think when you've done anything wrong or silly and have been really and truly sorry, you ought to try and forget it. Wipe it out. And I was like, yes, because usually we're the worst about not forgiving and forgetting, if you will. Other people, they don't even remember that we said or did anything wrong half the time, and we're still wallowing. And I loved that. So it's a Between the Wars novel. 2 girls, they're women, they're young, very young women, like 19, I think, but they are cousins. They're related somehow. They both are the recipients of an inheritance. They are still at the school that they've been at, that the guardian has sent them to all this time, and now they are sent away. They get to this cottage where they're told to go, and they are informed that this cottage and 500 pounds is all they have left. The guardian has lost it all in a bad investment, and this is what you get. So they try all kinds of fun little schemes and everything to earn money, because this 500 pounds is not going to last forever, obviously. And it feels a lot like, if you've ever read Josephine Lawrence, who did like Rosemary and the Princess, Glenna, Winds in the West, Rainbow Hill, Christine, Something Next Door, all those Couples in Leon, really lovely books. Or D.E. Stevenson. These are like young D.E. Stevenson. If her characters were slightly younger, it has the feel of those. Lawrence writes American stories. Stevenson writes British. This is clearly British. But if you like that kind of family and found family and community novel, this one is great. My only objection, well, I have 2, technically. First objection would be, at the beginning, there's that old game that kids used to play where they would either look in a mirror at New Year's, or they would, do some sort of little ritual, and they would look up and they'd see the face of the person they're going to fall in love with, right? Well, this starts off with it. And at first, it really felt the way that the detail they went into, I really thought it was going to be a big part, and I was ready to close the book, because I don't really like those. And it didn't come off the way I was afraid it would, and so I didn't have any problems, and the author used it really in a really sweet way. And so I was okay with it, but I'm usually not. But I have been okay with it in other books. It's not just this one. And then the end felt a little rushed. So you have a lot going on, a lot of changes. It's kind of like it takes a village almost for this whole book, all the things that they do with each other. And then the last chapter and a half, it just goes whoosh. And so I felt like the ending was rushed, but she got me in the end. I thought I saw where everything was going, and I pretty much had it, except for a couple of things. Number one, there's a deception in here that they are perpetrating, and how that is resolved and how people talk about it and everything is hilarious. The book is almost worth reading just to get to that part. So that you, because I was just cracking up because it was just like, I did not see this coming, and this is great. And then also, you know, there's a very, very, very light romance in here. It's a little bit Miss Bunkle's book romance where you just have something at the very end and you're like, da-da. You know in this one more that it's coming. You do kind of know because you can see from one perspective sort of that it's more like you see actions, but you can see that something is going somewhere, and that's it's kind of cool. But I thought I saw something else happening that absolutely wasn't. And something else flipped and I went, whoa, did not expect that. So that was kind of cool. And yeah, I really liked it. And I'm actually going to see if I can find more of her adult books because I really enjoyed it. And, you know, yeah, because yeah. Okay, then last book so far this month. This is still from last month's. This is my Reach Bookshelf Challenge last month's short stories. So Agatha's 12 New Mysteries for Miss Marple. I gave it 3 stars. Individual stories in here got, a couple of them got 5. And a couple got 4. And there were a lot of 3s. I think there was a 2. So I gave it 3. I think Ruth Ware was one of the best ones, which I thought is interesting because I'm pretty sure I've read something else or tried to and didn't like it. But I really loved what she did with Miss Marple. That was my big, so here's kind of how it went. I think I did this in my review. But here's kind of how it went. There were several stories that were just okay. The mystery was okay. Miss Marple herself was okay. Then you had a few where Miss Marple was spot on. She was great. I mean, was she Christie great? Probably not. But for someone else writing this character, they did a great job. You felt that kind of fluttery, coming at everything sideways. You know, where did that come moment, right? And then but the mysteries were still kind of ho-hum. Or you had a great mystery, really loved it, but it could have been Nancy Drew for all you knew reading it. You're just like, oh, Nancy Drew got older. Okay. Because there was just no Marple-ness about it. And there was one or two that nailed both. And I think Ruth Ware's was one. If I'm remembering correctly, I could be totally wrong. A lot of it was forgettable. And there were a couple that there is no murder, which is really cool. And was it 2? Yeah, I think it was 2. For sure there was one, but I think there was 2 where there actually isn't a murder. And that was kind of fun. But I won't be keeping the book. I'm not interested in reading it again. And I don't even think I'm going to pass it on to Mom. I'd rather just find another collection of short stories and hand that over, except that I think I have all hers. But, so I'm not sorry I read it. And if they do another one, like for Perot, I think they did, I won't be reading it. I'm okay with just stopping here. But yeah, so that's what I've read so far in August. I'm working on Phineas Finn, and I have to say I'm not enjoying it. I'm not hating it, but I'm kind of bored. There's a lot of politics, and like some of the stuff is really interesting in the middle of it, so it's like woven in enough that I can stay at, you know, kind of keep going. But like on chapter 30, the last chapter or 2, I can't tell you what happened except for a couple of minor things. You know, I'm so bored. But I am going to be picking up Dell's No Space Like Home because like is the Buzzword Readathon word for the month, and I want some Dell, and Wizard of Oz in Space sounds pretty good right now. And then I am going to pick up this one, Love on a Whim by Suzanne Woods Fisher, because that sounds good too for summer, since summer is ending. Newton and Polly is my, whatchamacallit, my Chantal reads all day, had to have water on the cover, and I'm feeling like D.E. Stevenson, so I've got that one. And then I also have, I'm reading Melissa Chapin's Murder Goes Caroling. It comes out soon, and so I have an arc for that. I'm really looking forward to that. And I feel like I'm getting another arc soon. Who is sending me an arc? Oh, Rebecca Werwell is sending me an arc of her Road Trip Redemption. So the third book. And so I'm looking forward to that. But I need to grab a pen and my thing. And let's see what I can come up with for this. I need a pen though. Okay, so for Camp Read More, I have a couple of beach reads. Do I have anything in the mountains? I have several beach reads. I think we're going to stick with beach because almost everything is beachy. So we're going to go with beach. So far on my camping trip, we're going to the beach because there's a lot of beach there. And even Love on a Whim will have beach. So Shelter. Book where characters sleep rough with bare or minimum shelter. RV. Camper. Motel 6. Well, technically, is there a boat? I do have a book with a boat. So Princess and the PI has a boat in it. So I'm going to put boat. Choose your weather. We need a sunny, feel-good, happily ever after read from the get-go. The relationship, probably. The Lark, probably. So I haven't had a tearjerker. A book with a lot of drama. Technically, no. So yeah, we're going to go with, we have sunny weather. And then we're going to have pests. We have a book with a picnic. Nope. A book where there are lots of pesky bugs or people. Well, pesky bugs or people. Maybe I should go read Trustfall and have the curtain of centipedes again. That would be lots of pesky bugs. Let's see. Flies. A book that involves air travel. The both the relation trip and the Princess and the PI has that. So we've got some flies. A book with deep deception. Kind of Princess and the PI, so I could have done that for snakes, but we'll stick with flies. Okay, we got treats. So, bookish favorite, genre, title, trope, it's all you, okay. Hot dogs, book with dog in it. Book with dog. There is a dog in Mile and My Flip-Flops. I think there's one even in the relation trip, maybe. Anyway, watermelon, light and refreshing. The Lark would definitely fit that. And a book with a flower or garden on the cover. Technically, I think that's a flower. I think there's some flowers on that one. I don't see a flower on here, just leaves. So we can't do that. Whoops. There's flowers on that. Okay, almost all of them have flowers on it. So we're going to go with sunflower seeds. And then entertainment, campfire stories, something in the ghost thriller horror vein. No, singing, books about music or dancing. Don't have that. Fishing, a book with something you can catch, a ball, a train, an illness, a guy. A book with a water word in the title. Nope. So there's no water words there. We could do with cold on that other one with the chilling mystery, though. So there's that, too. I really don't feel like any of them fit the entertainment. So, and none of these are a tome, but there's novel, novella. I have them all. So, but yeah, so I have not finished. I still do not have any entertainment in my thing. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I've almost earned myself my own sticker. Only I could pull something weird like that. But hey, I'm going to say, have a good day. Go read a bunch of good books. What you've been reading? What do I need to know about? And I'm going to go eat my sandwich because my stomach is actually going to gurgle so loud that you're going to be able to hear it. And that's a little too embarrassing for me. So I'll see you later.